Hi, and welcome to Still Evolving, where we explore the truth behind lasting performance and resilience. Rather than rely on perfection or superhuman ability, our conversation will highlight how real strength emerges through simple, intentional habits grounded in self-compassion, adaptability, and the ability to grow through life's inevitable setbacks. Today's guest is Joshua Reiter, a strategic executive leader with nearly 20 years of experience, helping companies grow, evolve, and navigate complex moments of change. Joshua blends a strong financial background with a people-first approach, allowing him to support organizations through transformation, M&A, and rapid expansion with clarity and confidence. He currently serves as Senior Vice President at Embark, a national financial consulting firm known for guiding high-growth companies through their most critical decisions. Throughout his career, Joshua has built a reputation for connecting people, process, and strategy, and for creating structure in high-pressure environments. Joshua holds a dual MBA and Master of Science in Finance, paired with a communication degree that gives him the rare ability to speak both the language of numbers and the language of people. He's also committed to community leadership and serves on nonprofit boards focused on culture, education, and long-term impact. Please welcome Joshua to Still Evolving. Joshua, hi. Welcome to Still Evolving. Grateful to have you here and look forward to our conversation today.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to have the conversation.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about where you've come from, some key milestones along the way, motivations along the way, and certainly what you're working on now.
Sure. Yeah. So I grew up just outside of Detroit, Michigan. I come from a really big family. It's important to me. I played baseball and I rode on the crew team at Michigan State University for undergrad. Did both of my masters at Walsh College and have bounced around between geography. I've lived in New York City, Atlanta, LA, Washington, D.C., Montana, but Michigan's still home for me. And throughout that journey professionally, I've worked in advertising. I've worked in private equity consulting, and now I'm a senior vice president at Embark. We do finance and accounting advisory for really all stage firms, but across the country. 600 folks at 18 offices across the country. So it's a super high level, and I've had many stops along the way, but that's just a real quick hitter of my journey.
Yeah, appreciate that. In your journey, we often are asking people to reflect on kind of like when life threw you that curveball, since you play baseball.
Yeah.
Through that curveball, maybe you swung and missed, maybe you got hit by the pitch. But when you face that challenge or adversity, what has helped you to keep evolving and growing in your professional world or certainly your private or personal world?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one of the things that when I was thinking about our conversation and was thinking about a question possibly just like that one, was this exercise that I had learned when I was a partner at Sandler Training. And I welcome you all, everyone listening to do it and to do it regularly. It's kind of a rhetorical exercise. But what I would do, both for myself and for my clients when I was there, is kind of take them through a little meditation. And it goes briefly something like this. Imagine yourself on a secluded island. There's no one there. It's just you. You're not hurt or distressed or anything, and you're not going to be here for long. Don't worry about being rescued or what you're going to have to do, your survival skills. On this island, it's just you. You're not a mom, dad, spouse, sibling. You're not a senior vice president at Embark. You're not an athlete. You're not a dad. All of those things are not here. They're not here. It's just you. And to think about who you are right now in this stage, and if you had to give yourself a ranking, 1 to 10, what would that be? And whether you're doing it with someone else or whether you're doing it, internally, obviously, you know what your answer is, but I would suggest write it down. Don't speak it out. But that number should be 10. It should be 9 or 10 at all times. And what we find is that if it's anything less, oftentimes we're our own worst critics, right? So just to make this easier, I'll speak for myself only, but I would rank myself based on my role or something that was happening in that moment, in that time, right? If I had just closed a big deal, it was definitely a 10. When I gotten into a fight with one of my kids or my spouse, my wife, it was lower. Same thing with my big family, or if I didn't close that big deal, whatever it is. those things are reflective of role play, and role play changes from day to day, moment to moment. And oftentimes we can be great partners, we can be great employees, or we can fail at those roles as well. So, and it's important to distinguish that, like, that's not who I am. That's not, Joshua. When I kind of, when we say the light bulb, or, turn the corner on that and got a better handle on those things, that I think, helped me, one, keep that high rating of myself, which everything will follow from that. Does that make sense? It's that law of attraction. It's that seeing yourself in a high bar at a high caliber, because we all are great people. We all have like wonderful, unique qualities, including myself, and we're all our worst critics as well. I found that ego exercise often follows. I think, I may have spoken about this before. Is it's almost like a thermostat in a room. If the room's too cold, you set it to 75. The air that comes out, or you set it to 70 if you're normal. No, I don't think anybody sets it to 75. So you set it to 70, the air that comes out isn't 70 degrees. It's warmer. It's whatever degrees. It's 75, 80 is whatever it is. And the temperature of the room will shoot up, probably go past 70, and then it'll cool down. It's kind of like steering a ship, not necessarily a race car. But if you set that temperature of the room, if I set my self-image at that 9 or 10, my role as a husband, my role as a dad, my role as a senior vice president, as an athlete, all the things will follow that.
I mean, I think you're making a great point in that we are so much more than what we do, and oftentimes if there's something outside of our control that occurs, a health condition, an injury, certainly risks happening in private industry, right? That role is truly separate from all that we are and can bring. It seems as if your point of evaluating, like, what is that, and kind of measuring up, if you will, it seems like it's rested on something, though. For you, is that values? Is that purpose? Is that meaning? Like, when you're assigning that number, what are you considering in yourself if you are separating this from what do I do?
Well, I think we all should have a healthy self-image that way. But for me, I'm Catholic. I'm a very religious person. I believe that we're all made in God's image, and we're perfect in our own ways. That being said, meaning that doesn't mean we don't have flaws. That means we're made exactly how we're supposed to be. And to be human is to err. We can accept that, but we can accept that who you are right now is exactly who you should be. And that doesn't mean we can't get better. But getting better means getting better at those roles. It's important to separate those because they happen so fast. We jump in and out of them so quickly that it's easy to mix them up with self-image. Even at work. Work is the focal point of many people's lives, mine included. I act like a friend at work. I act like a boss. I act like a subordinate, and I go back and forth quickly within those, even in the same conversation at work, whether it's with clients or with employees or people at my work. And I say, I didn't really listen great after that. I like to think I'm pretty perceptive in terms of the interactions that I have. I try to make folks feel good, feel seen, feel heard in every, even small run-in the hallway or small conversation like this. And if I reflect on those things later on, I could have been a better listener. Or was I listening to hear, or was I just waiting for my turn to talk? Or was that person looking for me to solve their problem? Or were they just looking for someone to hear them? Were they just did they want to feel important when I'm talking with a prospect or with a client? What's important to this person? And so being mindful that we're all on that same journey, our own crooked path sometimes, but we pass really quickly in and out of those roles. And it's important not to let those tiny failures, because we all do, we all stumble. Stumble might be a better way of saying it than failures. I don't particularly hate the word failure because we try to learn from them. We go forward from them, but not to let those imprint, on ourselves. So for me, that was a long answer to your question, but for me, it's a religious basis. I think that we all, whatever your creed or religion or mantra is, you should love yourself, I guess is the
Mm-hmm.
cliche way of saying it.
Absolutely. Along the way, it sounds like for you, connection has been really impactful for you. You've identified your faith and the Catholic faith and kind of where some of that connection comes from. But the other power of connection comes from others, right? Like those around you, whether it's at work, friends, family, your spouse. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about what you have found from those connections, maybe it's coaching, maybe it's mentors along the way, that has helped you continue to evolve? Like I said, it may throw you a curveball, but you keep finding another path, or maybe you see another door opening that you may not have considered before, but really came from that power of relationships.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that I mentioned earlier about identifying this motive, or at least something that I needed to do in every interaction, or wanted to do, I should say, in every interaction, was make a small connection, make the person that I was interacting with feel good, feel seen, feel heard. That doesn't mean be a court jester. It doesn't necessarily mean solving problems, or there's not a ton of, when you peel that down, it's really just listening and connecting with people, right on those small bases. When I kind of made that my focus, and I said, how do I do that? The simplest thing is being an active listener. It's really easy for us. We're all super busy, and we're out, we have a million things on our minds. And my wife would tell you that my mind's more active than anybody that she's ever met. It's always, off and a million different places, but kind of focusing or harnessing that, being an active listener. What that allowed me to do, right, in that evolution of self, is could step back and not react to things emotionally, be a bit calmer, allows me even to gauge where this person's at a little bit better, right? I can see the big picture a little better when you do that, right? Not just waiting for my turn to speak, not reacting emotionally. And people started coming to me, right, that made others attracted to me, not physically, but they they knew that I was a listener, that I wanted to help, even if I was, and I'd be honest, hey, I can't help you, or hey, is this a fixing conversation, or is this a listening conversation? But there is that small tweak and it's a progressive process of being an active listener, checking yourself, making sure that I am not getting caught up in it. That it allowed me to grow more listening to folks. I hope that makes sense.
Was that through trial and error, Joshua, or did you have a coach or mentor who's kind of showed you that tool of active listening, or even just clarifying what someone's needs are in that moment? I love that. Just checking, hey, do you need me to listen, or do you need me to engage in problem solving, solutioning?
Yeah, a lot of trial and error is the short answer to your question. I studied that in college. I think it's something that we adults, us in the working place, have heard. It makes sense intellectually, but doing it purposefully is a lot harder. And I'm guilty of that just as much as anyone else. But so I really had to be purposeful and remind myself at first. It's like anything, it's building a new muscle.
Right.
But the active listening, there's a lot of trial and error there.
I'm curious. So, the title of the show is Still Evolving. And oftentimes we engage in this reflective conversation, right? What are the lessons learned along your path? I love you sharing around the power of self-compassion, self-love, separating our identity of who we are from what we do. And then certainly the tools along the way, that the power of connections that come either from something bigger than yourself, but also with others, and how we can show up and be very present and provide people space to be seen and heard, and do that through active listening. I'm curious for you, when you look forward 18 months, 2 years, how do you, as a leader, do you set your sight on a vision of where you're still would like to evolve to? If so, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been reflecting a lot upon lately is, as a dad and as a leader at work, get caught up in the right now. What's happening, the speed at which information flows. It seems like we're all super, almost reactive, but focused on, what's happening right now, and have been wanting to be more forward focused. I'm a big believer in the law of attraction, visualizing, setting goals, and going and achieving them. So for me, professionally, that would be the short goal is we're going to open a couple of more offices, open in new markets here at Embark. And so very exciting. We're doing a firm-wide adoption of artificial intelligence, of AI. So it's scripting out exactly what that 100% adoption looks like, what those new offices look like, what the expanded team member roles look like. If I can, even, I'll clip stuff out from magazines or books or something like that, and really get a hard visual of that. Personally, I'm trying to move my family back across the country, back closer to my larger extended family. Would even like to add a member there. So, but I think I've got to go a 5-year in a 10-year and understand what that looks like. And for me, in addition to growing Embark and expanding our reach there, would be adding a portfolio of companies to my own personal ownership. So it's still
You
evolving a
have
little
that
bit.
optimistic vision. Yes,
Oh
I,
yeah.
I love hearing it. I love hearing it. Usually we wrap on kind of that immediate and actionable takeaway. But I love the exercise you shared and also just a couple of the tools asking someone, is this a listening? This is a solving situation so that we can show up. So I guess I'll riff a little bit on how we typically close. And I'm just curious for you. A lot of people, we talk about the grind, right? And especially for many of us who I'm a little on the back end, but certainly can appreciate the intersection of oftentimes when we are growing in our careers, very quick pace into leadership roles is oftentimes the times where we're growing a family and we're trying to really build in our personal life and those relationships. I'm curious, how do you use recovery strategies to help sustain this marathon sprint, right? You're talking even 5 years out, like the
Mhm.
vision that you have and where you want to go. But the reality is our human systems, all of that is load. And we are showing up every day to perform in our moments that matter, carrying that load. So how do you offset that load with recovery?
I tried a number of different things to this end. I think that folks have to try a lot of things and figure out what works with you in your cadence.
Right.
I find that like reflective journaling and gratitude is wildly helpful. It's incredibly cathartic in the moment. Capturing those things, making them real and tangible, but then going back and kind of reading that and reflecting it. And it could be a daily, it doesn't have to be a novel,
Yeah. Right.
but capturing something from that day, a lesson learned. Hey, this happened and I'm feeling this. I'm grateful for this. Gratitude, there's nothing more powerful, I think, in that sustained journey. So for me, setting time aside, for me, it was in the morning, 10 minutes of quiet time. It's focusing on the connection between mind and muscle. Our bodies are incredibly important. I'm still really big into working out. My wife and I, we have to do it. We do it every day. We make the time. Healthy bodies, healthy minds, energy, all of that thing that goes along with that. Journaling and taking that 10 minutes in the morning. What's my connection? What am I feeling? What's going on with my body? And what do I want to have happen today? And not so much even what do I want to have happen today, like I want to close a big deal, or I want a promotion, or I want to find $50 on the sidewalk. But what do I want to have happen today? How do I want folks to see me? Do I need to be what's going to happen today? Like my meetings, my kids are going to come home. We have sports. We have this. I have this. Do I want folks to see me as wise? Do I want folks to see me as powerful? Do I want to be understanding? Do I need to be strict or, have discipline, right? Do I need to be strong in that way? We know when we're going to encounter certain challenges. So those, you have to test them out and you have to do them regularly. You have to build that muscle. It's prayer in the evening for me, and some like light meditation in the morning. Like you said, once those block times are done, it's really back to like, go, 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 go.
The race.
Yeah.
Then we're off to the race. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I appreciate in your answer. I mean, a lot of people talk about gratitude, the power that comes from the actions of reflection, taking that pause for prayer, meditation, or even breath work in morning or at night, and certainly physical exercise. If anything, I'd love to underscore what you said earlier is people have to figure out what works for them. And I think that's so crucial. And when we talk about then the next piece of this, which is consistency, right? So we know the power that can come from meditation, that the power comes when you actively engage in meditation over a period of time, right? We know, same with working out. It's hard to get stronger if you go to the gym once every 6 months. So through that trial and error, pick one, give it a shot for a couple weeks, I would say, and start small. So the 10 minutes in the morning, how can you just be quiet, focus on your breath, your exhale, taking a deep breath in and going from there. So very
Going to
much
need to be
appreciate it,
really
Joshua.
intentional about it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's blocking time off or just, say, I need this, but the muscle gets built, it's 3 weeks to build a habit, something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing on your journey, lessons learned, and certainly those immediate actionable takeaways that all of us could figure out if that fits in their toolbox. So thank you so much, Joshua.
Thank you. Enjoyed the time.